Hi, guys, it's Pastor Kerry here, and I just wanted to spend a little bit of time with you today, this afternoon, and talk about how to set goals and actually meet them. It doesn't matter if you're a church leader or a business professional or a student, stay at home mom, that if you're going to get what you want out of life, you're going to have to not only know how to set goals, but also to know how to actually reach them. And so I have a little kind of actually a couple worksheets here that I think that may be helpful for you. But before we get too deep into this, is that I just want to bring in my guest here today, and that's Matt Johnson, Pastor Matt Johnson, all the way from Lakeside, California. How you doing?
I'm doing great. I'm doing
Good.
fantastic. How are you?
Cool. Oh, I'm doing great. Well, actually, I didn't have lunch, but my son made us a great little breakfast. Kind of a breakfast fried egg thing with a breakfast sandwich. On sourdough bread, and then with a little slab of melted cheese underneath it, and the thick bacon, and that just kind of carried me all the way through the day. you know.
Awesome.
I know. So, so that's pretty cool. So, you know, you're a guy who likes to set goals. So tell me a little bit that what do you think is the difference between a wish and a dream and a goal?
Yeah, I think wishes and dreams aren't very tangible. I think a,
Hmm.
a goal implies a way of capturing that
Yeah,
wish or
yeah,
that dream.
yeah. So, that's the problem with a lot of folks is that they just go through life wishing or they just go through life dreaming instead of truly setting goals and effectively reaching them. And so, and it's not like it's a mystery on how to do that. There are actually, there's kind of like easy ways to just kind of follow through with that. And that's what we want to talk about here today. I have some handouts that if you want to download those, you can download those free, the free PDFs at webinarchurch.org slash goal dash setting dash worksheets. Now this little thing is going to be scrolling all along as we go through our talk today. So don't panic if you didn't get it the first time, and that and also, by the way, that the download page is in your show notes there on whatever platform you're watching, so you can catch it that way. So for me, that I think that if you're going to set goals and actually reach them, the first thing that you have to do is to make sure that your goals are SMART goals. That I
Mm.
have my
Wait,
go ahead.
you don't want dumb goals. You want smart.
Well, there are dumb goals,
Yeah, I'm gonna write that down.
and, and we're and we can kind of talk a little bit about what dumb goals are. They're kind of opposite of smart goals, but
Gotcha.
yeah. But a smart goal, I have my second master's in Christian leadership with an emphasis on life coaching. Anybody can say that they're a life coach, but it's quite a different thing to really kind of like spend some time in figuring out how to coach people along to help them to be successful at resolving problems in their life and also achieving the goals that they've set for themselves. And one of the things that we talked a lot about in our training was setting SMART goals, and there's SMART. There you go, five letters, and
You passed.
I know. It's the let's talk about the S for a moment, and the S is ask yourself, is this goal specific? Let's kind of see if we can come up with one just off the cuff, because we did not rehearse this, as will become evident, you know, in our time together. But But let's see if we can kind of craft a SMART goal for a moment. I'm going to throw at least an initial proposal out there. Here would be a SMART goal. In order to create meaningful family time together and enjoy the outdoors, we will plan a vacation to Yosemite. Yeah. How about a 1 week vacation to Yosemite? Tell me why I'm laughing. Tell me about your
Made that plan a few times.
Yeah.
We've had that dream.
Yeah. Well, you've had the goal, but and that's probably a good thing to remember, is that sometimes goals are, we can have a well-crafted goal that is really out of our control. The first time you set that goal, what happened?
There was a fire that went through.
Yeah.
That was a bummer.
It went through Yosemite, huh?
That went right through.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so then the second time you set that goal, what happened?
Yeah, we had COVID.
So
that was.
Yeah. So, maybe it's just not. Maybe it's not meant to be for you to get to Yosemite. I don't know.
Yeah.
But okay. So in order to have some quality family time together and to enjoy the great outdoors, we will plan a 1 week. Or we will plan a 1 week vacation to Yosemite, and let's see, and we will go on, how about August 1st? It's already passed, but so what? And so so that's pretty specific, That is there any way that we can kind of like increase the specificity of that as you're thinking about it?
Yeah, I guess you could add goals for specific things about doing it. What are you talking about? Like the campsite,
Okay, yeah. Okay, so that we will go on a camping trip would be one way to increase the specificity of that. That's easy for you to say. And so we will plan a 1 week camping trip to Yosemite, starting on August 1st. Okay. Well, let's just kind of like go through and test this out and see. The first thing that we need to ask ourselves is our goal specific? Secondly, is that what we need to ask ourselves when we're talking about SMART goals? Let me see. I got too many things up here right now. I'm trying to unclick some of them. Oh, why is that not unclicking that? All right. So what in the world? Hang on. I'm just gonna see why that is not going away. So all righty. There we go. Sorry about that. Too many buttons for me to. So is my goal measurable? Let's try that. Let's test that goal for a moment. In order to, have a memorable family time and enjoy the great outdoors, is that we will plan a 1 week camping trip to Yosemite starting August 1st. Is that measurable?
So you mean like the fact that we said 1 week? That's measurable, right?
Yeah.
Or do you mean?
Well,
or we the distance or anything like that? What do you mean by measurable?
No, I'm talking about is it something that I guess maybe there's metrics. So no, in other words, that when you will be able to know that you hit the target or not by coming back and evaluating those metrics. So
right. Yeah. Did we spend a week there?
Yeah.
Did the whole family go? Did we go
Yeah.
camping? Yeah, those are
Yeah.
measurable.
Okay. So there you have it. So so we're talking about SMART goals here. The second part of that is or actually the third is that is it achievable? This is a little bit
Not.
tricky. Well, uh, barring acts of God.
Because we put August first. That's all.
Oh, I see. Well, how about August 1st, 2021?
Yeah, there
There
you
you
go.
go. So is it achievable? Is that what would be some factors that would make it achievable?
Right. I think. Well, what I liked about it is, by the way you framed the question, the goal, then you can kind of look back and kind of reflect on it and think about the different parts. Like, so my first thought was to think about the different members of my family. Are they going to be
Mm-hmm.
available at the time? Is this something that they want to do?
Yeah.
So I think that helps figure out if that thing's going to be achievable. The
Yeah.
distance of time between you need to plan. So
Mm-hmm.
it's kind of neat. It creates a little mini checklist in your head just by reading the statement and
Yeah.
asking yourself, is it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So now, interestingly enough, is that obviously that there are certain, like we said, acts of God or the Chinese government, that can intrude on our ability to reach our goals. And so, but I would say that generally speaking, because we can't plan for every contingency. But generally speaking, that the more specific you are, and that and for instance, money would be a factor. Is that can we save up enough money between now and August 1st, 2021, to do that. So all right, so let's keep on moving on as we go through here. The next one would be, is it realistic? This is tricky, by the way, and a lot of times people set goals that sound like they're specific and measurable and achievable, but they're not really realistic. Now, I want to circle back to that in a moment, but just off the top of your head, what are some factors that you would say that would work against a goal being realistic?
Yeah, I think that would work if the creator of the goal doesn't have a good self-actualization, doesn't have a real good self-reflection or good read on other people. What do you call that? Emotional intelligence. Like, that's going to always factor in on whether or not it's realistic. I think not having enough information. You start off with a great goal, then as you get information, you realize, oh man, I didn't know enough. I have to circle back and remake a goal because my research shows me I was way off.
Yeah. There's a whole lot of things, like me playing in the NBA.
Yeah.
I could say that within 5 years I could get specific, and that I could map out all of the things. I will go into training and blah blah blah. But it's just not realistic for me to think that I'm ever going to play in the NBA, But here's one thing that oftentimes trips up people when they set goals, is that they make their goals dependent on other people's response. So, let's say a goal in marriage is that you want to minimize the conflict in your marriage, and that and you frame that goal. And I don't have one right in my hip pocket to kind of like come out and say it, but you frame that goal in such a way that it's dependent on your spouse performing that goal or contributing to that goal, which then essentially leaves you completely, it's not realistic for you to achieve the goal because you've made the responsibility of achieving that goal someone else's, you know. So when we are planning, or when we are go ahead.
Well, I can think of examples like with my students a lot in youth ministry. They come up with these great ideas, and all these ideas rely on permission from somebody else. You know, like you're not going to be able to drive all the way up to Northern California without your parents' permission. You got all these plans and great ideas, but So I think that's kind of what you mean, you know.
Yeah.
Or you're going to buy a house and you haven't invited your spouse along for the ride. That's not going to be very realistic. Yeah.
Exactly. So then the T, that we come to the T with respect to our goals, and that's is it time oriented? Or in other words, does it have a deadline? And the reason why they just didn't put deadline there, because then it would be a SMART goal rather than a SMART goal. You know?
That's the
You know, and so, you know, that never work. You know, nobody goes around and say, make sure your goals are SMART goals, you know. So is it time oriented, or does it have a time component to it? So let's go back to our example, is that in order to have quality family time together and to enjoy the great outdoors, we will go on a family vacation to Yosemite in August, by August 1st, 2021. And let's see, and so we'll go to, August 21st, August 1st, 2021. So there's the time element. You've given yourself a deadline, you know, in order to do that. So that's what we're talking about when we're talking about SMART goals. Now, we'll spend just a few minutes here and before we wrap up, because I want to wrap up here pretty soon, but I do want to circle back to all of this. And let's just do a quick recap on these goals. On how to set goals. And let me come back here for a moment. And first of all, ask yourself, is this goal specific? And secondly, ask yourself, is my goal measurable? Third, ask yourself, I got all these things bottling up here again. All right, third is my goal achievable? Fourth, is my goal realistic? And fifth, is there a time element to my goal? Does it have a deadline? Okay, so let's just go ahead and we'll switch gears real quick. And I just want to kind of bring up my other screen here just to show you not only the slides that we have, and why is that not working? Oops, wrong screen. That's why. There we go. Is that and so we can see the handout that you can use and download for free there. But there's also a second page to it, and that's this strategic planner. And let me just see if I can bring that up a little bit larger so you can see it. And the strategic planner essentially has about 3 major components to it. And let me go back to our screen here, and we'll just continue to talk a little bit more about that. And that's just simply this, is that when it comes to doing the strategic planning, is that we need to, why does this keep coming? Oh, I think that the problem is me. It's operator error. So, but, one of the things that I didn't mention before we get too far afield on this is just simply this. Let me come back to our previous screen and let me go down to the SMART goal. And I think that it's always important to add my plan to stay on track. So you write out your specific, measurable, achievable, realistic and time oriented, but then also come up with a plan to stay on track. And that might be, as simple as maybe getting an accountability partner to work with you on this and say, hey, Carrie, do you mind if I check in with you every couple of weeks to just report on how things are going with respect to my goal? And so those things can make a big difference, So let's go back. Go ahead.
Setting a reminder on your phone. Setting a reminder on your phone to check.
There you go. Yeah. So one of the things then that we need to do is that we need to do some strategic planning. And I want to just kind of jump through this relatively quickly. And when it comes to strategic planning, you can see this other sheet here. And at the top of the strategic planner is where you would plug in your goal, your SMART goal, in order to, and normally there's kind of a purpose that you are thinking about with respect to your goal. So in order to spend some quality time together as a family and to enjoy the great outdoors, that's kind of the purpose statement there. And then the balance of that would go in, I will, or we will, go on a family vacation to Yosemite, a family camping vacation to Yosemite by August 1st, 2021. And so I will, and then there's the by. And so there's right there, you plug in your SMART goal. But one of the things that people oftentimes don't think about, and we think about this easily with respect to vacation planning and things like that, but not necessarily with career planning or life circumstances planning, is thinking in terms of key results. So tell me real quick, off the top of your head again, is what would be the key results that you would have to achieve in order to go on your family vacation to Yosemite?
Mm-hmm.
So give me one or two or three.
Yeah. So we would need lodging, right? Or a campsite.
So you need to arrange the campsite. Okay.
Yeah.
Plan for transportation.
Right. Yeah. Workout vacation time.
Okay. Workout vacation time. Yeah.
Yeah.
And what else?
Like for me, even just figuring out how to cover your shift.
Yeah.
I have to do.
Yeah.
So I don't know if those count as key goals. I mean, those are like things like if those don't happen, it's not going to work out very well.
And that's what we mean by key results. That if these things don't happen, then the whole house of cards crashes down. And and also, setting aside money or saving money would be a key result. Right. So what we need to do next, once we've plugged in our key results, and you'll notice on my my handout there that I have a area for different key results to be included, and then and you can duplicate that page 2, and add in as many key results. But these are kind of the big things that need to happen in order for you to reach that goal. But then each one of those key results has a number of steps to it. And so that's what you have to do next, is you write out each step. And so give me a couple steps with respect. How about with respect to budgeting for the vacation? What would be some steps?
Right. So we'd want to have an estimated, start with an estimated cost.
Okay.
You would, or maybe, we got to create an estimated cost might be the first step,
Mm-hmm.
So you got to read that. Then when you have the estimated cost, then you would want to figure out a savings plan, right? To be able to save money.
The frequency of saving, setting aside money,
Yeah. And then, Yeah. So an action step might also be, hey, I'm going to talk to my buddy Carl, who just got back from Yosemite,
Mm-hmm.
and figure out, with his family, and figure out what he spent. So like those all
Yeah.
could be like little steps to,
Yeah.
so you can satisfy that,
Yeah. So research it, and all sorts of kind of things. So the idea
right.
is to move through each one of these phases, and we start with our SMART goal. And is my goal specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, time oriented? And then what type of plan do I have to stay on track? But then we also fold into that our strategic planner, where we add in our SMART goal at the top. And then we identify our key results, key result number 1 and key result number 2, and so on and so forth. And then we plug in the steps. Now, one of the good things that you can use with this little planner, and I'm going to update it in a couple of ways, so you might want to come back to the site. But you can check off. I have a box there that you can check off for each time you accomplish one of these steps. But also, I think it can be helpful, and I might do another column here, where we would identify a responsible person. Now, particularly when you're working with a team. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I was thinking about, the great part about getting to that step is then you can see clearly what maybe needs to be delegated. Because sometimes you just don't know what to do with somebody. But when you have it written down, and then I think people get overwhelmed with the SMART part, on your team. But I think people can handle key results or even just components of a key result.
Yeah.
And you can communicate it clearly. That's what I like about that process. Yeah.
Yeah. And so I think that it's good to add a second column, particularly when you're working with a team or even within your own family, is that you might want to say, okay, that dad will be responsible for this, mom will be responsible for that, kids will be responsible for this. I think when it comes to kind of organizing things for family vacations, that you don't have to worry too much about anything, because your wife is like the super organizer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
She comes by that naturally, actually, from her mother, not me. But when it comes to planning family vacations, I mean to tell you, is that, and one of the things with my wife and yours too, is that one of the big things to always plan for is snacks.
You're right.
The car is always loaded down, and there's like 50 extra pounds of snacks that we're taking along.
Yeah.
All righty. So that's it.
Smart.
Go ahead.
Smart goals.
Smart women, smart goals. So that's really a quick overview. I don't know how quick it was, but it was at least an overview of how to set up SMART goals. And once again, is that you can run your goals through this grid. Are they specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, time-oriented, and do I have a plan to stay on track? And then plug that into your strategic planner, identifying your key results as well as each step along the way. And, at the end of the day, you're going to be a whole lot more successful
absolutely,
and satisfied with what's going on in your life when you can successfully set goals and achieve them.
Right.
Yeah.
I think it gives you peace of mind, for sure.
Yeah. And have it and oftentimes having it written down kind of avoids the mental constipation that that comes from all of this. So, hey Matt, I appreciate you spending some time with me today.
Absolutely.
All right.
Loved it.
Good. And so I hope that we'll be able to do another one of these down the road. And that's it for now. We'll see you around. Bye-bye.